Hello everyone. So I have your astrological transits for the week of July 22nd to the 28th. We have the sun moving into Leo, so happy birthday ahead of time to all of our Leo friends. I love that sign. So also Mercury moves into Virgo, Chiron stations retrograde, and the moon makes tons of aspects as she travels through the signs of Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and then on into Taurus. So anyway, let me just bring you over my table. We'll go through it one day at a time as always. Hold on. Okay, so if you're joining me on Thursday afternoon, the Thursday before, which is the 18th, please know that I finally got the timestamps in last week's video, which still is applying to today, tomorrow, and Saturday and Sunday, leading up to the full moon. So you can now hop over to that old video and then fast forward, or just look in the first comment and you'll see the timestamps there, and you can refresh in case you didn't see the whole weeks, but in case you want more about, or actually to honor everything that's coming in with the full moon that's happening on Sunday. Or I'm sorry, is it Saturday? Yeah. No, wait. You know where I messed up? No, I didn't, actually. I'm looking at this. See, this is what happens all the time. This is Monday's video, but it's the sun. I look at that and I'm thinking, oh, Sunday? Wait, what? No. So it's okay. That's me and my brain bubbles, I suppose we would call it. Okay, so you can see that it's 12:45 a.m. in the morning, super early. So no matter what time you wake up, or if you stay up late, the sun will be now in Leo. So like I said, happy birthday to all of our Leo friends. And we do have this opposition to Pluto when it comes through. Now, granted that it's at 12:45 in the morning, it'll move out of that range, and the sun is moving towards Venus as well. So even though it's a 13-degree orb, that it's really wide, but they're still, they kind of vibe off each other. The Venus is very adaptable, and in Leo shines really brightly, and then the sun in Leo emanating very brightly. They're definitely vibing off each other, even at that wide orb. So you can expect with Leo, now that we have the sun in Leo, there's going to be a spotlight on people who are usually in a lot of creative self-expression, or maybe not so creative. Maybe they're in the old, and I'm saying this because of the fact that Pluto's opposing here. And we had the moon cross over. Now, this hasn't happened yet as the day that I'm doing this video, but, the moon's over in here, I think on Friday or Saturday, I can't remember. And then, bumping up against to have that full moon coming up against Pluto, we can be sure that there's going to be some hijinks, some kind of shenanigans after the whole, RNC, that whole convention. And it's been crazy already. It's been good for comedians, though. It's been quite good for comedians. But we're seeing on full display what these people are all about. And it doesn't matter if you're going to look at Kimberly Guilfoyle or little Steve Miller following Trump around, or whomever you want to, you guys can fill in the blanks and put in the comments if you want. It's kind of scary, the little bit that I've watched of it. Honestly, I've really just kind of caught up with by watching the comedians, because it's just too crazy. It's too ridiculous, and who wants to listen to all of that? There's no way. I can't take that in. But, having said that, we do know that J.D. Vance is definitely beefed up by all the the tech giants, the CEOs. So and what's his name, Elon Musk, he's in there. So here's probably part of what that Pluto moon will, full moon in Capricorn hitting up Pluto. I think something more will come out about people who are emotionally invested in someone that they think will give them tax breaks and affect their bottom dollar or bottom line, rather than caring about the people, right? So that moon, being a luminary, whether it's the sun or the moon, either one will shine a light on whatever it's getting close to or making aspects to. So the Pluto being some people, some persons, some groups in power, which is Pluto, making decisions over humanity and resources, and they'll withhold information and resources, and just for their own purposes, right? So we can expect to see a lot come out on social media. We can expect all types of leaks and all types of discussions, and so there's that, and then of course everything that happened on the 13th. I mean, it's awful, just ridiculously awful. But I think the Secret Service is probably going to have to account for where they. I don't know. I mean, they're all blaming each other, but I'm just going to let all that go and focus in on you guys, because I can't say what I want to say. The shizzle's getting real. So let's just focus on us and our creative self-expression. And with when the sun hits Leo, so again, like I said, no matter what time you wake up, you will have, I would think, a lot of energy coming through. It could be one of those days, and it is a Monday morning. We could expect to be loaded with energy, and what we need to do is to do our best to stay focused and really grounded. We don't have, besides Ceres and besides Uranus, and notice, like I said, Mars is going to move away from Uranus, so Mars is not in a grounded sign anymore, which maybe sometimes that's a good thing. But it's really just Uranus and Ceres that we have that earthly element. The rest is, fire, lots of fire, air, and then a little bit of water over here too. So creative self-expression being one of the most beautiful things about Leo. And whatever projects you've been working on, it's really possible that there could be some new energy that comes in. You'd have to see where 0 degrees of Leo is in your chart and expect some, some supercharged energy probably. And with the opposition to Pluto, it can be challenging if you're going to, and we all need to do this, right, to network. It's going to be important to see both sides of the equation and not take things personally. Both of these signs are fixed, right? We've got fixed fire and fixed air. So the fixed fire is going to want, it's like my way or the highway kind of thing, my will. And we all have free will. It's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. I mean, it's the only thing that really matters. But if somebody's over here trying to take away your free will because of their rigid beliefs, because of, the dark side of their personalities, and because they haven't yet seen the big picture, and they don't understand that we just keep, our souls keep coming back in over and over and over and reincarnating until we clear out all the darkness, And they think it's one life. You know, they're all the YOLO, right? You only live once. No, you don't. No, you don't. So you'll see some young souls. And that's the first thing I thought of when I saw J.D. Vance's face. It's like, oh, man. Like, is he emotionally 12, 13 maybe? Did he just want to get in with the rest of the kids on the playground? And so, anyway. So here we are with people who will give themselves away for money, and we're witnessing that, and we're trying to do our creative thing within that framework. All the while, I understand how everyone is in fear. They're going into this place of, oh no, you know, Trump's going to win. I don't think so. It doesn't make any sense to me, considering what everyone else on the planet, or well, everyone in the United States wants, and even in the other countries. They don't, I mean, Europe doesn't want Putin winning. And, you know, so we have tech giants, and we have some wealthy billionaires who would be throwing their money into, you know, the Trump campaign, which I think what Elon Musk said he's contributing $45 million. Was it a month, I think? Yeah, pretty sure that's what it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. To Trump, so that he's trying to ensure the fact that he wants his tax breaks. So, but they're just one person, and they can spend all the money they want, throwing it at whomever they want, and it's not gonna, it won't make a darn bit of difference when it comes to the vote, because they only get one vote. All these billionaires are, I mean, there's just a handful of, I don't know how many there are, but the ones that are throwing their money like that, we just outnumber them, what, 1,000, 1,000,000 times over, I suppose, right? I would think. So just keep that in mind. And so, because we're not only fighting for democracy, like if that's not enough, right? We're basically, like I said, fighting for our free will, and to keep our free will, and to keep our free and fair elections, and also for our rights over our bodies. And we're thinking of our children and our grandchildren. And we're thinking about the earth. What about climate change? No, they've got their interests. These, the dirty politicians, the corrupt politicians, and the corrupt tech billionaires, which is, that's ruled by the sign of Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius. So now that Mars is in Gemini, we can expect that there's going to be a lot of talk. And as Mars has moved into Gemini, look at the trine moving to Pluto. So there's going to be a lot of information that comes through quickly, and we will be all week long and more and beyond talking about it. And you can see that Mars is only, 11 degrees. Mars moves so fast too, and it won't be long before it hits up Jupiter. So then the information, just everything on media, the information overload could really, really, literally, blow up. Jupiter tends to expand things, and now that Jupiter's at that 12th degree, it's in the second decan, so it's the area, it's in that portal of learning lessons. So we've been learning a lot, right? We've been learning so much since Jupiter moved into Gemini, which happened on May 25th. So 2 months. 2 months in, here we are. Now, it's important to also look at the fact that Uranus, it's at 26 degrees of Taurus now, but it will go retrograde. I think I touched on this last week. So Uranus is going to go back and hit that same spot so the fixed star what's his name? Not Argo. Not Argo. Algol. It's Algol. Is still right in here at that 26:55 minutes, I think, right in here next to Uranus. Now, Mars has crossed over and will continue to move away, right? So Mars being all that energy and like, the fire, it's now in an air sign, so it's more about the fire of information, the fire of learning, the fire of communication. But Uranus is sitting here for now, but it's going to station retrograde and start going backwards. It's only going to go back to 23 degrees, but so Algol is still just going to be sitting there because that's what fixed stars do. They just sit, They sit and they either shine bright and dim or blink or whatever, but they pretty much sit there till they just burn out. They move a little tiny bit, but it's just not in our relationship to Earth. We don't see it much. So anyway, with this moving backwards, with Uranus, turning retrograde, it'll move even further away from that hot point that it was at. With Algol and Mars. I mean, that was a weird. Well, it's just the way things happen. Change happens. So sometimes it's too much to take in for some people. So that's why I always want to say, just, do your best to just take a lot of deep breaths and stay grounded and really nurture yourself when there's a lot of information coming out. And take your time in deciding what you believe is true or false, right? Take your time to wait until enough of the facts have come out, and then still, fact check. You can't just, take comments off of YouTube in a chat or comments on somebody's video on YouTube, and unless there's a hot link that has, unless the link is there to provide the source, it can be anybody saying anything. So we always have to be really careful, and everybody has an opinion, right? That's the thing. But I so appreciate the emails and the comments that I've gotten, with the source. Like, look here, or wait, let me find it, and I'll email it to you. I always appreciate that. And then you have to look at the source too, because if it comes from some places, it's not probably trustworthy at all, and you know who those places are. Anything basically that Rupert Murdoch owns. He's one of these guys up here in that Pluto position. So maybe because Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. Mercury's gonna hit Virgo this week. I have the chart for that. But maybe with the Mercury in the later degrees here, the third decan of Leo, there's going to be a lot of expression coming out, a lot of like things that you see. Because remember, Leo's ruled by the sun. So it's kind of like having the sun here and the sun here and the sun here. And so there's a lot coming out. And we could see a lot this week. But then Mercury being the messenger, ruling Gemini over here, we also have to factor in an increase in, like I said, information. So that's what I'm saying. Be careful. Be very careful. If you're not feeling good and the news is too much. For me, the best thing is to meditate. It's to go inside and let go, get really grounded in your body and let go. And just get in touch with who you are, where no matter where you are and what's going on in the world, you're just fine. Get in touch with yourself. If you get in touch with the core of who you truly are, and you sit there with that, or lie there with that, which is my case, 90% of the time, because it's either early in the morning, or if it didn't happen in the morning, like it didn't this morning, then it's, it tends to be whenever I can, lie down, rest, get inside the truth, which is your truth, because something's always going to be going on in the world, right? So if you let the world pull you out of yourself, you're just going to be, smacked left and right and 6 ways to Sunday. It's not going to be fun. So keep yourself grounded and allow yourself to just be okay with what's going on as we observe what all of these dark, corrupt billionaires and politicians, and I'm not saying every one of them is, but the ones that are going to be revealed, and we're going to be seeing and getting the messages, and it's going to be out there, on the news. And then other changes are happening. I mean, Biden got sick, of course. I guess he's okay, though. Had a first dose of Plaxivit, and his temperature is normal. He's isolating and recuperating. But it wasn't just Pelosi and Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Like, if that's not enough, well, also what came out this morning is that Obama is telling him it's not looking like you can win. And the whole Democratic Party is worried about that. So again, I don't want you to worry about that, because it would be Kamala. And I don't know for sure yet. I'll keep reading on Biden every week, and I'll do another video tomorrow. We'll read on him tomorrow. I don't know that he'll step down, but first of all, the rules are he has to make the decision himself. And if he did decide to step down, he would put Kamala forward. And then we would all be backing Kamala. So, that's the only way it could work. I can't imagine any of these other guys getting in. They'd have to start with a new campaign and do all kinds of crazy, just no. And, it's the Biden Harris ticket that has all the delegates. I think she would have the same delegates, maybe not, but that's the thing. And we haven't even had our Democratic National Convention, hasn't happened yet. So this is this portal after the full moon. We've got this week, and this is this portal where it's going to be full of information and tons of energy. So, and you can also see with the sun right here, being at 0 degrees Leo, that we've got that, we still have that trine to Neptune. So again, confusing energy that for us means we have to stay connected to our source. So however you resource and self-regulate yourself is what needs to happen. Okay? I resource myself in the spirit world, and then nurturing and taking care of my body and relaxing and things like that. For you, it might be different. So whatever it is for you, honor that. Honor that and take really good care of yourself. So, yeah, okay, what else? I am drawn to the sextile here, coming from Venus. See how Venus is at 13 degrees and Jupiter's at 12? Right here. This is a beautiful opportunity. Sextiles bring in opportunities. And we also have the trine going up to the moon at 12. So this is the aspect of the architect happening exactly this morning. And now the moon will move forward the fastest and, pull out of it. But for early in the morning, you do have a nice, trine coming in for ideas. So with the moon in Aquarius, it's open to something new and different. Some original idea that's very innovative could come through. We could also have people wanting to, because we're in the second decan of the sign, we're at that lesson stage where we're learning lessons. So people will probably be learning a lot more through all the information that's out there with Jupiter and Gemini. Because remember, again, Jupiter just expands and helps us to open up and broaden our minds. And that's the same way with the good side of Aquarius. Gemini and Aquarius can both be open. Jupiter's definitely open. On the downside, some people could be excessively communicating words and information that is not tolerant, that is actually very bigoted and trying to pigeonhole people. And they're coming from this intellectual pride, like they think that they're better than everyone else. So there could be some rebellion that comes through on Sunday about that, or I'm sorry, on Monday, that comes through because of this. But for us, the best way, we can use this energy really beautifully to create, because, we've got the aspect of the architect here. It's a building, opportunistic, sextile, and a trine that comes through with Venus over here on one end of it, holding space for happiness, holding space for harmony and things that you really care about. And it helps you to make those values, those comparison values is the words I'm thinking when I look at Venus. I think of, oh yeah, I really like that, and I like that thing over there kind of a little too much, or I like doing it this way. I've tried it that way. It didn't work as well, so I'm going to go back to this way, whatever it is. And in Leo, it might be definitely that creative project that brings in some more opportunities, because that's the good side of Leo. The downside could be energy vampires that are just hogging up all the, the space, the airspace. Like, maybe we can stop talking now, finally, about the shooter and his dad who bought him the guns, and we can stop blaming the police department, and we can stop blaming the Secret Service, and maybe the real information that came up, because, this could happen to anybody. Maybe the real thing that needs to be addressed is the fact that the Secret Service it is not funded the way it needs to be. And then maybe we could remember that, somebody, who it is, has a propensity to not pay his bills for protection, traveling through all the states, doing all his rallies. He still owes. He still owes people. So that's an issue there too, right? Using resources and then not paying for them. That's terrible. So again, energy vampires and the gullibility. With Neptune, we have to be careful of people being gullible as to the information that's come out. Maybe attending rallies with hateful people that are against different. Here. How about I'll just drop that because we know what he's all about. How about we just talk about the fact that if you're going to go to a rally with somebody who supports the NRA, who is funded by Russia, the NRA was deemed on September 27th, 2019 to be a foreign asset. That's everything we need to know. That was a bipartisan Senate Intel committee that came down with that. And Mike Johnson is a part of, I believe he's taken in a lot of Russian money. A lot. So there's that, right? And remember the whole Maria Butina thing, and remember Mike Johnson's election campaign that took in all that money from, what was that? I think it was like American Ethane or something, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. But anyway, just remember, some dude who was a Russian spy that was the handler for Maria Butina, or Butina, I don't know how to pronounce her name. They donated I don't know, millions. I can't remember how many millions to Mike Johnson's election campaign to try and get him into, the speaker position, and yeah, it worked. But so he's a foreign asset. Mitch McConnell's been a foreign asset forever. Yeah. So that's not good. Jupiter, being the sign of foreign countries, the planet of foreign countries, and Gemini being that connection, that communication, people multiplying their opportunities, dark, dark corrupt money, powerful people, billionaires basically, coming together and networking, or just kind of aligning on the same goal. That's all right here as well. So we're going to see more of that. And then with Mercury over here, square to Uranus, we can bet that it could be surprising communications coming out. And with all the Leo energy, remember, on the dark side, energy vampires that just want to suck the life out of everything and keep it for themselves because they're the ones that are better than everyone else. And the downside of Aquarius is pretty much the same energy, but there's the networking and that really tricky, mind. And it's the abuse of AI as well. But on the light side, for us, we can use the energy by staying in our hearts, remembering to align with your heart and communicate from your heart, and especially with each other, and then making some changes, because with Uranus being the change agent, we can create change by just by staying in our hearts, just by staying grounded. So Uranus, change, Taurus, grounded in something stable and safe, right? Ground into your principles that you can stay faithful to. And then you might have a challenge, we might have a tension field because there's communication coming in, but just every time you hear something really awful or negative, just stay in your heart and send the love. Send the love. And then with this sesquisquadrate here up to Ceres in Capricorn, this could be that there's something disruptive. This aspect can be disruptive. It can be it can create a detour, but that's okay. You just stay in your heart, focused on where you want to go or how you want things to be for you and your family and your loved ones and life on earth, basically. And then sit and hold space for that, nurturing things in very, very practical ways, because Capricorn can be very protective. The whole Cancer-Capricorn polarity can be super protective. And I have this, settings. I have my settings on a tight orb, but we can still see that Ceres is in a T-square. See how the nodal axis is at 9 degrees. Ceres is at 11, and it's retrograde. And it will make it all the way back to, I think, 7 degrees. And the nodes they travel backwards. So this is tightening up, this T-square up here. So this is important because the South Node is the past and where we've been. And in Libra, we're all worried about justice and fairness and equality, right? But we are socializing with each other to understand what's really going on and keep each other informed. And then Aries over here at the North Node, we're moving forward in this direction of doing our best to have our independence, right? So we have Venus over here because Venus rules Libra and Taurus. And then Mars rules Aries. So the direction, the movement towards independence and holding space for equality and fairness and justice. And then up here with Ceres, we just have to remember that, if we don't protect the things that matter most, like our families, our food, our farming, and I'm speaking to, these are Ceres things, right? The feminine and things that are vulnerable and animals and little critters, then if we don't protect those things, we will have, and sometimes we have it anyway with, it's no fault of our own at all, but sometimes it can create grief and separation. So if you're a dark money politician or, warmonger or whomever, I could expect that with this nodal axis, there will be some grief and separation for these guys and gals, if there's any. I don't know, Betsy DeVos is out there somewhere, right? And some of these donators are people who contribute the most to the dark money groups. They're pretty much, there's some, well, heck, I don't know how much he's contributing or his wife, but, Samuel Alito has that wife, right? They all have wives. Anyway, I'm just going to let that go. Stop. I get to get off my soapbox here. Okay, so we can see another sesquisquadrate here connecting from Uranus to Ceres. So again, could be some surprise grief and separation and, detours, disruptions and detours. Uranus can be disruptive. This aspect is disruptive. And with Ceres, we do have to, this is one of the reasons that I've been saying, and I think I said it last week and the week before, I keep getting, stay stocked up, have extra food in your pantry if you can, if you have the space, or shoot, maybe you could put it under your bed, some canned goods or whatever, and some extra water. And I wash all my fruits and vegetables with vinegar water solution, and it comes, I get those big giant bottles, or it's not a bottle, it's a plastic, but it's a really heavy plastic, and then I rinse that out really good and fill that with filtered water, and I have a bunch of those in my garage. So I just keep adding to that like every week. So that's an easy way to do it without going out and buying a bunch of water that's heavy and you got to hork it and stuff like that. And then you're ending up with plastic bottles and all of that, and who wants to support that anyway? But if it's plastic that you're already using, which at some point they'll make all that biodegradable. I know a lot of it is already, but So make do with what you can. Do your best to shore up, food, water, the things that you really, really need. And again, don't forget about your pets. So that's kind of, starting off the week here. And I think that's probably about it. I think I can go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and go to Tuesday. Tuesday is 6:23 a.m. Pacific. We have the moon in Pisces. And exactly when that's happening, we have these two little semi-sextiles here coming from powerful Pluto and then over to stabilizing Saturn. Saturn in Pisces, I feel, is our opportunity to create our lives from a very spiritual foundation that comes from a lot of integrity. Saturn at its best works to be in alignment with, with integrity. And in Pisces, it includes everything. So the integral way for us to function would be to include our prayers, our compassion, our love out to everything and everyone on the planet. And if we can do that with this little, oh, wait, hold on. This one is connecting to Neptune. Oh, that's even better, actually. Okay, but Saturn in Pisces is still there holding space. It just doesn't have an exact aspect this morning. The moon, so this aspect from the moon to Saturn would have happened, well, maybe if you woke up super early in the morning and it was still at that about 18 degrees of Aquarius, then that would have happened. But anyway, it's a gradual building that can help manifest is what this aspect is. Okay. So, but this one now, this morning, sorry about that, you guys, the moon is connected to Neptune. So this could be really good for deciphering some dreams, or you could wake up with a prophetic dream, or you could wake up with a dream that helps you heal something in your soul. You could wake up with some dreams that can help you. I can't tell you guys how many clients I have that get Dreamtime guidance to help them write their books, write their manuscripts, write their, they get downloads in Dreamtime to help them. I even have one client, I just adore her immensely. She is using challenging situations in her life that she, has healed and gotten through over the years, but she's using that for material for someday a book, which I think could be a movie or a series, an amazing series. So anyway, things like that. Like, don't leave out the spirit world to help you with anything you need help with, and don't ever think that anything is too small to ask them for help or for support, and don't forget to ask. That's the main thing. The laws are, the spiritual law is that, unless it's a divine intervention that needs to happen, and that does happen, but the law is that they need to be invited. They need to be asked for help because they don't want to violate or mess up with any free will. But if you've asked them for help and you listen and you go slow and you can't, just connect with them, whether you can see them or hear them or smell them or feel them or whatever, just know that they're there and take advantage of what seems to be a coinkydink, a coincidence, but it's really a synchronicity of an idea or an inspiration. And that is what the Pisces moon is all about, and Neptune in Pisces, no less, right? The moon and Neptune are pretty connected, very connected. But when the moon's in Pisces, we can expect to have a more spiritual, artistic, mystic mood for the day. We can expect to devote ourselves to something that is full of bliss. On the good side, we can expect to understand more about our empathic abilities, the way, our bodies work or our senses work, or what that certain smell means to you. When you smell it, what does that really mean, or what's that about? Things like that. And you can, with that, it's, hearing, it's all of that. It's having all of those chakras open to get the guidance that you need in whatever way is, specific to the way your channel works. So, but now on the dark side, it can be addiction. It can be cult-like behavior. It can be, victim blaming, victim shaming, victimizing, gaslighting. And it can sometimes make people feel very helpless and hopeless. So if you get kind of sucked down into that, and I'm saying that because the moon is moving towards Saturn. So, but I want to, prepare you for that, because the moon to Saturn can be kind of down. It can make you feel kind of stuck. So do your best to keep yourself really hydrated, drink a lot of water, careful with too much food or alcohol or anything like that, because it can we can be super sensitive when the moon's in Pisces. It's really important to remember. But I really do love this connection here with the semi-square, or I'm sorry, what am I saying? Semi-sextile from the moon over to Neptune and then over to Pluto. And it's not a tight orb, but we really do still have a sextile from Neptune to Pluto, which is a downright opportunity, not just a little building, manifesting, gradual thing going on, but a downright opportunity to open up to your spiritual power and empower yourself, heal your soul, and empower yourself. To the degree where you're literally just, you can, with every breath, you are bringing in more of your spirit and grounding it on earth and connected to your guides and your guardian angels. That sextile there is a really beautiful opportunity for that. So, okay, now we can also see we still have the sun opposing Pluto, right? So it's another day of some intense, maybe intense, Pluto can be intense, confrontation. But these oppositions, when you work with them inside of you, if you've got somebody over here that seems kind of cold-hearted and shut off, and you're over here keeping your heart open, what you can do is create a breakthrough by just focusing on your love and letting that go, whatever that is, and don't take that personally. Okay? Because when people are mean and cruel, or if they're cut off from the heart, they might just seem like they are to you, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're just really either busy or focused on something else. So again, don't take it personally. If they are actually cruel or cut off or rigid and inflexible, because that can be the case sometimes with Aquarius, and then maybe there's just some crankiness, right? It can be a little cranky. If that's the case, again, you don't take that personally, because that doesn't have anything to do with you. That's just about them, whatever they're going through. So yeah. Okay, and then you can see we have that sesquisquadrate still happening from Ceres to Uranus. So there can be some disruptions going on. I think that's it. Oh no! What am I doing? Right here, this aspect of the architect coming from Pluto to Mars. Mars is, I keep forgetting to tell you guys, Mars is like Pluto's little brother. If you've ever studied astrology with Stephen Forrest, and Jeffrey Wolf Green, I kind of got away from him because I didn't like his rigidity about. He was convinced that if a person ever sold their soul to the devil, that they could not renegotiate that contract, that was set in stone forever. Like, what? No, dude. Does not work that way. But anyway, the guy was a genius for bringing in evolutionary astrology, and he and Stephen Forrest worked together for years. They were called the Pluto brothers, and they did a lot of teaching together. And then all of a sudden they weren't together anymore either. And I'm like, oh, I think I know what happened. Same thing that happened to me when I read, some of the things that Jeffrey said. So anyhow, I love Stephen Forrest and so appreciate his work. And they named Mars as Pluto's little brother. Okay. I really like Eris over here as the kick-butt Joan of Arc kind of, we're not taking it anymore. Eris, the feminine counterpart to Pluto, which is stronger than Pluto because she takes 556 years to get around the zodiac, or 558 to get around the zodiac, or it could be 556. I see that sometimes, and I'm like, maybe there's a little wobble with her. too, because Pluto has an elliptical orbit where it'll stay in some signs for maybe 12, 13 years, and then others for like 20, 22, things like that. So, anywho, she's over here holding space for independence. Chiron's about to go retrograde. I'll show you that chart. That's on Thursday. And meanwhile, we're in this portal here today where we can really get some energy moving to empower ourselves and to open up to something new. And if we can do that and move forward with some new ideas, new communications, or to at least maybe get the communication going. Like, have you ever done that before where you had something on the back of your mind for months or maybe years, like maybe you were waiting till COVID was over before you started something. And then now that COVID's over, well, it's still happening, yeah, of course, right? But maybe Mars in Gemini, because Gemini does rule the lungs and the arms, hands, shoulders, all of that, fingers. Maybe there is something about that, about more powerfully understanding, because Aquarius is definitely related to science. So maybe there's some new information about COVID or a COVID strain, or a vaccine even, because Mars does rule metal objects, and of course shots are, they come from a metal needle. And then there's some opportunity maybe for a new level of vitality or at least understanding. Yeah, it's hard to say because, these are harmonious transits usually, but sometimes they're just a really quick, flow of energy. But with the aspect of the architect, Mars is at that bucket point. The sun has like the flow, right? Pluto up here at the more powerful position because it's the slower moving planet is holding space for science, is holding space for something new, something revolutionary, scientifically revolutionary. It's holding space for technology. So it makes me wonder, maybe there's some breakthrough that happens there because of the opposition here and the aspect of the architect here. And the sun is always going to shine a light on something, right? So again, with Leo, open-hearted energy, things that can enhance our opportunities to create the lives that we want to live. So, okay, let's go ahead to Wednesday. Now we have the moon hitting up Saturn. In fact, by 1:32 p.m., it's on the other side of Saturn. It's exact there, and it's heading towards Neptune. So because this is 1:32 p.m., the deal with this chart here means that all morning, right, all up until that 1:32 p.m., we were headed towards Saturn. Okay, so the moon was Saturn. So Saturn can feel limiting. Saturn can feel like, dang it, now something's... Oh, and Saturn rules the government too. Saturn can feel really dualistic. Like it's this or that, like, darn it, I can't do that, so I have to just sit here and wait, and I have to do that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. So, but if we can get into the positive aspects of Saturn, then we're in the area of learning, teaching, mastering something in our lives. So wherever, 18 degrees of Pisces is, occupies whatever house that is in your chart, Saturn's been sitting there anyway for all that time, and you're getting used to it and you're working with it because, of course, at that 18 degrees, we are almost at the end, and Saturn's retrograde, so we've already had the whole, the process, because when it went retrograde, That was back in June, and it was really just 19, right? So it hasn't moved back much. But at that 19-degree point, we were at that end of learning some lessons, and now we're having to go back over the lessons again because obviously we needed to pick something else up. So let's just, let's have fun with it as best we can. And again, whatever area, whatever house that's landing in your chart, it can have like the delay, the element of delay, but it does help you manifest. Saturn puts things into concrete form. Remember, Jupiter and Saturn are the builders of the zodiac. And so wherever they are in your chart right now, transiting through, those are the areas of your life that you're able to actually do some really good work, build something solid in your life. So, okay, now the moon will be, of course, our mood. It's how we connect with. Well, just think of all the things that you do every day. It's like our daily taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves. The moon rules our psyche, our body, and our soul. It has to do with how we, cope with things. It has to do with how we regulate our self-soothing, self-regulation mechanism inside. So it is, of course, related to our food, how we eat and how we digest our food. In Pisces, we are going to be more sensitive. We're going to be feeling more compassionate. We're going to be wanting to let go and play and have fun and cut loose. And so that's where you have to be careful not to drink too much or eat too much or whatever. Try not to just be wow. But it's an amorphous kind of energy. It's that mutable energy that can help you open up to a new state of consciousness. It's very mystical. It can be really good. It can be a good time it's very possible that someone could download and manifest music, art, poetry, anything that you're trying to create, and especially because the moon is headed towards Neptune. So that's, I think, really, really wonderful. Now we have this inconjunct coming from Mercury to Neptune. So there's an adjustment. Remember when you see that green line with the little, downward K? That's an inconjunct or quincunx, same thing, 135-degree aspect. So Mercury's communicating something really super important, and it's probably has to do with, I would say on the political stage, it's probably some big, fat, overblown ego, which is, it's an unhealthy ego. An unhealthy ego is, you could say that you have a weak ego if you're not taking care of your life. And you could say you have an overblown ego if you're trying to control everybody else's lives. But bottom line is, overblown or weak, it's still unhealthy. It's still, it's all the same. And there are covert narcissists and there are, overt. It can be just like you have aggression and then you have passive aggression. Bottom line is, if we can take care of our own lives and take care of ourselves and our loved ones as well as we can, that's about all we need to be controlling. And then the rest of it is to, vote, right? We all have to vote. But with this inconjunct here, this means an adjustment. An adjustment is going to need to be made because people are at this mass consciousness. Neptune can be unity consciousness. It can be things that are dissolving, that don't work anymore. They can be Neptune can help us envision and imprint a whole new life into our consciousness. It could be the need, it could be understanding that there's a real need for healthy boundaries for empaths. Empaths need to know that, I mean, you can't handle that energy until you have really strong, healthy boundaries. So it might be something like that for us, individually. There might be a greater understanding. Neptune and Pisces are all about understanding. But with Mercury there could be like this just really intense, direct knowing, because Leo rules the third chakra, and that's the claircognizance, like where you just know. You don't know how you know. You don't know how you got the information. You didn't hear it. You didn't see it. You just know, like right in your bones, right in your gut, wherever. You just know. So there could be something like that, and because that comes through, you have to make an adjustment now, because you got some information, and now you have to make the adjustment. Information from source, spirit, into your, messaging device, whatever it is in your body. And now you know, and maybe you start expressing yourself differently, and maybe you share what you know with us, and we're so grateful. And yeah, so that's it. Now, on another level, with the dark, dirty politicians, we will be seeing in an intense way, because that 29th anaretic degree, like something's really out there. They're saying it, they're doing it, and then everybody else is over here going like, hell, or hell no, kind of a thing. And now there's that adjustment. So there's something, I think something's going to drop either on Friday night, what am I saying? Not Friday night, Tuesday night, between Tuesday night to Wednesday morning. And then it's like right out there by this afternoon, by that 1:32 p.m., I mean, because that's, the moon is the mood of the public. The moon rules the public as well. So there's a public understanding of something in the government, and somebody's talking about it. So, I don't know. Now, on another level, it's possible that, because I was looking at Biden's transits, and if he were to make a decision to step out of the race and put Kamala forward, it could happen in here, because he has this could be his Mars conjunct his Uranus. He has Uranus, I think, at 2 or 3 degrees, right in there. And it could even happen before then. But yeah. That's a possibility. Then again, he's got those 4 planets in Scorpio and his Taurus moon, and that's not that backing down kind of energy at all. But if he feels like it's best for the country, those are the decisions he's been making so far in the past. So, yeah, let's go ahead and go to Thursday. So I have 2 charts for Thursday. Here's the first one is in the morning, and this is because the moon hits Aries. 7:53 in the morning. Okay, so it's a kind of go get it day, get her done, get things going. Aries brings in something new. It's headed very closely. It's already only 8 degrees away from the North Node, but we're all going to be thinking about which direction do we want to go? Why are we doing what we're doing? How do I move forward? Aries is all about existing, so there could be this public mood of, I'm determined, I'm independent, I'm going to initiate something, and we could be a little more daring, right? It could even be like finally deciding, I'm going to get on my spiritual path. I'm going to blaze my own trail. And with the, the Libra South Node over here, you're going to have all kinds of friends and new friends and tons of people that have already been doing that, and they're going to love having someone new. The more the better. So, okay, and you can see Mercury still has the inconjunct over to Neptune, but because the moon is, right there on the other side of Neptune, Now we have 2 in conjuncts. So again, whatever happens, whatever that is that happens on Wednesday, Thursday morning, we're going in a new direction. And we're all still talking about it. Okay? So the sun at 3 degrees of Leo is exactly sextile that 3 degrees. Mars has moved forward 1 degree. And again, we're talking about it. Because Mars is in Gemini, right? Mars moves energy, and Gemini is words, print, it's communication on all levels. And we have lots of opportunities to shine the light on something where we're developing a new foundation. Hopefully it's loving and caring, and but it can sometimes be a little embellishing when we're dealing with Leo. But we do have this sesquisquadrate over here to Saturn. So again, there's something going on. There's some disruption. There's some detour that's being made, most likely to the government, coming from the government, because like I said, Saturn rules a government. Yeah. Now for us personally, it could be a new heartfelt desire to manifest something in your life that's very artistic or soft and lovely and imaginative and compassionate and sensitive and, all of that, which is good. And that gets, there's a detour. Or it could be that you have to make a detour because you realize, and this is one of the downsides, the pitfalls of Pisces energy, is that if we're not focused on, now this doesn't mean it has to be one thing. You can have 10 projects going on at the same time where you work on, an hour or half an hour every day on each one, or you work on one for a week and then the next week it's another one, whatever. And maybe you don't finish, but they're still kind of there. However you operate, you do you. But the downside of Pisces energy sometimes is that we're all over the place. And we have to, embrace its polar opposite, which is Virgo, and focus in on one thing. Focus in. So, yeah. Okay, now you can also see the moon in this beautiful sextile to Pluto. So there's that powerful, fire and air to initiate something new that's bigger, that's open, that's original, it could be really, really wonderful. So yeah, it looks like a good day. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the second chart. Okay, so later in the day, oops, did I just bump this and make it, okay. So Mercury now, and this is at 3:42 p.m., okay, still on Thursday, Mercury moves into Virgo. So now we've got more grounded energy. Now, hopefully, well, with Mercury, okay, just remember, Mercury's, it helps us to negotiate. It helps us to articulate what we're thinking. It links up things. It connects the dots. It helps us to track the patterns, or even find a pattern and then track it, right? It has everything to do with the way we analyze information. It's our rational thought. It can have to do with writing, or any type of just however we communicate. And in Virgo, then we have to bring in the element of so here we are with the planet first. Then we bring in the element of the sign in the first decan. So this is developing a new foundation within the sign of Virgo, which is discriminating, which is trying to create divine order ultimately. And it's very practical, and it's a learning sign, just like Gemini. And then along with the discernment that can come through while you're learning, you're figuring out what works and what doesn't, then you can bring in more opportunity because it's things are working. It's about making things work and getting them to work correctly. That's what it's all about. The downside to Virgo can be all over the place, cluttery, not discernment, just going where you want and not really thinking about it at all. It can sometimes produce anxiety if you're not, that's why it's a real need for, well, I think it's for everybody, but especially any Virgo or Piscean, or with a lot of Pisces and Virgo in your chart, but especially Pisces Sun, Virgo Sun, there's a real need for meditation. There's a real need to have that inner order going on inside of you, to get yourself ordered inside. And everything comes from the inside out anyway, right? The universe is always mirroring what we've got going on within. So that's why it's really important to keep ourselves grounded and ordered and peaceful and loving and kind, and then put that out there. Or just, even if you're not putting it out there, you're holding that vibration in your body. Your body's on the planet. It's all connected, right? See where I'm going with that? So yeah. Also, Virgo on the downside can be very judgmental, self-judgmental, especially self-depreciating, and so there's no real response to an opportunity that might come in, because it might be like, oh, who am I I can't have that. Other people can do that. I can't do that. Meanwhile, there's 3 people asking you, hey, I think you're going to be really good at this, and can you do it? Can you jump on it, right? Is the thing. With the inconjunct quincunx aspect to Pluto, it could be a powerful opportunity here, but you have to adjust yourself, because, things are kind of, they're making you feel like a little off kilter, maybe a little ill at ease. And so sometimes, and especially when, Mercury, the messenger, brings in some new information, now you have to respond to some situation. And the situation over here definitely has to do with the fact that Pluto's in Aquarius. And Pluto's power. Pluto is somebody that's got it together, somebody that's networking, somebody that's probably maybe wanting more freedom, maybe a little rebellious, I don't know, maybe very progressive. And then you're over here going, well, should I? Or how do I adjust myself to open up to that much power? That's the better question. Because this doesn't have to be somebody over here. This could be something. How do you adjust yourself to open up to having that much freedom in your life? You have to focus on the freedom, but you also have to be very self-responsible. We don't get self-responsibility, or we don't get freedom without self-responsibility. We have another inconjunct here to Neptune. So again, right, Mercury to Neptune, it can be some foggy thinking, some maybe some new awareness that, because Virgo does rule health, maybe there's some new awareness that that you have to change your diet, but you don't want to. But you're like, oh shoot, there's something's at my attention now, and I can't ignore it anymore. It could be something like that. It could also be an opportunity, inspiration, guidance that comes in from your source energy, and then here you are getting that information, and it's super powerful, right? Because of that connection to Pluto. And then suddenly you're like, oh, well, shoot. Should I just go for it? I would have to make a lot of an adjustment, but at least it's up to the forefront of your consciousness. You're thinking about it. Maybe you're talking to people. Maybe you're connecting with different people. And like I said, even though it's not an exact aspect, right, so you can see it here, this is a sextile. Neptune is sextile Pluto, and that sextile up there changes this whole aspect into the finger of fate, finger of God aspect. So I think that this Mercury in Virgo is going to be really wonderful, especially after having it in Leo, where everything was out there. Now we're going to be digesting the information. Now we're going to be figuring out, well, wait, this is, Mercury in Virgo is like fact-checking. So we're fact-checking the darkness of, the people that want to be in control over everyone, like they know how to do it better than us. Like, what? How about we just all work together? And then the gullible ones that'll jump on board with these idiots that think that they know how to run the show, and they're not accountable or responsible for their lives. They just want daddy to take care of them, and daddy seems to act like he knows what he's doing, and whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So, okay. Anything else? I think that's it. The other aspects are we still have the Saturn to the Sun, making that, there's that detour there. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Friday. Friday, Chiron stations retrograde. So while Chiron has been bumping up against Eris and getting tons and tons of courage from her, now not only is the moon approaching Chiron, but Chiron is just going to sit there for a little bit and then start approaching backwards. So this happens, the beginning happens at 6:59? Yeah, 6:59 a.m., okay. Friday, July 26th, right? Yeah. And yeah, so it's going to, looking at my notes over here, you can see it's at 23, and it's going to stay retrograde. They're move backward, or not really move backward. It's just our relationship with the Earth to this centaur here. It'll be December 29th before it goes direct, and that will land it at 19 degrees. So it's still not going to make it to the anywhere near the North Node, but we already had that whole experience. That's not. That was the time for everybody who really wanted to get on their path and let go of that old existential wounding, like the false belief that you don't get the right to exist or that you're not worthy and all of that. That was to let all of that go. And now that Chiron has been bumping up against Eris, we know we're worthy. We know that, we're here, right? So why wouldn't we be worthy? You have yourself. Why wouldn't you love yourself? So with this little retrogradation process, really what's going to happen is just that it's going to bring in more people who need to get back into themselves, who need to understand that autonomy is everything, and that they don't have to be first, and they also can let go of the fear of being left out. And if the main lesson when it comes to any Aries experience is to let go of being impulsive and to never abandon yourself. Because primarily with Aries, there's that fear of abandonment. So the impulsivity comes from a place of, grabbing on or demanding energy. And it doesn't need to be that way at all, because, most Aries are, because they're ruled by Mars, right? They're already pulling in tons and tons of energy from the Earth. And we see you, right? We see you. You're there. It's like a flower that blooms, and it's like, I'm here. So there's no reason to fear being abandoned. There's no reason to, unless you abandon yourself all the time and give yourself away, unless you abandon yourself and you head towards things that aren't good for you, or you just leave yourself out of the equation all the time. That's where you need a Pisces friend. Pisces friends, they include everything. They include everyone. So yeah, that might be helpful. But anyway, Chiron retrograde, I'm not worried about it at all. None of the retrogradations bother me at all. It's just a chance to reevaluate something, go over something again, respond to it differently. Put in front of any word, and that's probably going to be about right for a retrogradation. So, yeah. So if you're redoing, if you're removing something, if you're whatever, renovating, that works too. So, okay. That is, because it's about 7 a.m., I'll just go ahead and read the whole chart now. I can't really say anything more about Chiron retrograde. Until there's some other aspects hitting it, then it's pretty much just right there. But notice how we have this morning, we have the moon in an exact sextile to Jupiter. So with the moon in Aries, which is, fiery cardinal energy, so it's like double movement, double the amount of movement. Think of in the tarot, it's the Ace of Wands, right? It's like, bam, here I am. I've got a stick. All right, I've got something, So whatever that something is, with the moon, and there's that mood, that energy to get going, and in a big way because of the sextile to Jupiter. But because Jupiter's in Gemini, I think that there's going to be, again, a lot of communication. And something new. We're talking about things in a completely new way because there's something new. Also, because of the sun in a sextile to Mars as well, there's a light shining on something, and something in your life is growing and blossoming. There's some new creative self-expression for most people. Or maybe you're even just thinking about things differently, especially with Mercury and in Virgo. You're kind of like digging in and trying to really get more detail, because Virgo is such a detail-oriented sign. But yeah, so it looks pretty good. Venus has an inconjunct. These two inconjuncts from Neptune to Mercury, Pluto. I already spoke to that, so we have another day of that. But with Venus here also in an inconjunct to Saturn. See how Saturn's at 18 degrees and Venus is at 18 degrees. So there's an adjustment to the need for more heartfelt love and harmony. Some of us have learned enough lessons, opened our hearts enough, and learned enough lessons that we're ready to make an adjustment that might be much more stable than ever. For some people that haven't learned that lesson, they're going to have to adjust, or they're going to be left out, or they're going to feel inhibited and stuck. And then then you have that experience and you don't like it, and so then it makes you go the other way later on. So it all works out. Okay, let's go to Saturday. Saturday we have the moon in Taurus, and it makes a square right away to Pluto. This happens at 10:23 a.m. Saturday morning. Okay, so Pluto in Aquarius is at the highest level aligned with the law of brotherhood and sisterhood. It's like humanity, right? With the square to the moon in Taurus, there could be, because this is both fixed, energies, there can be some stagnant, there could be a tension field that is stagnant energy, blocked energy, because some people just want it they want it to be a certain way so that then they can feel safe. So if you think of some people that hold on to like these rigid rules about the way life is supposed to be and the way they're supposed to act because it's written in the Bible or it's written anywhere, rather than going inside and finding your own moral compass that is maybe more, well, it definitely would be more flowing and more open and wide. Like spiritual law isn't so rigid. It's open and flexible and variable, because sometimes you may need to make a decision, and whatever decision you make at that time is probably going to be the best decision you could make at that time, which would have been, whatever you decide at that time. Let's say, okay, I decide I'm going to love the color green, or and then that means I have to hate the color purple, something ridiculous like that. I'm just making stupid shit up. And that's the right decision at that time. But then 6 months later, you realize, oh, now I love the color purple and I don't like green anymore. So now I make this decision. But then whatever, maybe for decorating for something, it was the right thing. And these are really poor examples. You guys could come with something way better. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that you can make a completely different decision later on, or you could stay with the same decision later on that would be the wrong thing to do. But, because a new decision would need to be made in order to get yourself in alignment on your path. It's all about being flexible with life, is what I'm trying to say. So there's no flexibility here Saturday morning. So be careful about getting into an argument with somebody who seems to know so much more than you, because you're not going to win. Best to preserve yourself and your energy, especially with the moon in Taurus. Just, hold faithful to your principles and let it go. And you can also see that we have this little, the little semi-sextile headed from the moon to, these are both, blissful type of signs, Taurus and Pisces. And to have that semi-sextile there, that's an opportunity to manifest something really beautiful, which could be, a really blissed out, lovely morning. But maybe it's better to, don't turn on the news. Don't get in an argument with somebody doesn't have the same belief systems that you do, or with somebody who in the past has proven to be pretty controlling. Just best to stay away for at least that morning, so that you get that time to yourself. If you bravely want to try it later on at a different time, because at some point the moon will oppose Pluto over here. We'll have that next week. But yeah, so the other aspect we can still see is we still have the sun sextile Mars. So again, a lot of energy. It's just really a high energy week. That's for darn sure. Venus still has the in conjunct to Saturn. So we're still working, but now Venus is in that, it's just about to pop into the deepening and blooming stage and make it into the third decan. We've definitely been learning our lessons about, relationships and loving. And now Venus in Leo is good for working with colors too. So this whole thing here, it could have been, for somebody out there, I'm sure lots of somebody's, a very interesting, creative art, project of any type. Could be decorating your home, or it could be painting, or it could be music, it could be anything. But the adjustments, there's some adjustment that's still being made over the, Friday, Saturday here. Yeah, and the same thing with Mercury to Pluto, because obviously, we're still working something through to get some more facts, some more details. So, okay, let's go ahead and go to Sunday. Sunday, July 28th, we have the moon in Taurus trining in an exact trine to Ceres, And so with the moon in the second decan, we're learning some new lessons about stability and safety and security, but maybe we've learned something about ourselves too that helps us to trust ourselves more, because Taurus is all about those being faithful to our principles that are deep inside. And with the trine to Ceres, it could have to do with trusting your response to protect and care for yourself and others and your critters and your anything that you love. And there's that nice easy flow of energy in the morning. And I did set this for 5 a.m. And you can see the sextile coming into the exact, because Pluto's at 0 degrees 44 minutes because it's been retrograding, and Neptune is at 29 degrees 45 minutes, right? So there's that 1 degree there, which is the exact aspect. So that sextile that I was saying was always there. Now you can see it. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, Pluto is powerful. Pluto is about self-empowerment. Pluto brings things to light. It eliminates things that don't need to be there for us, or it eliminates things that need to go in order for us to be more whole. And it helps us to evolve. It cleanses the soul. Pluto is the journey of the soul. And so there's cleansing. It could be cleansing of old rebellious attitudes that help you to be more loving and open and harmonious, with Neptune and Pisces, more intuitive, more psychic, more empathic, right? So that's really nice to see there. Mercury still has the inconjunct Pluto, so Mercury's still gathering, just the facts, ma'am, just trying to get some facts about people in power and government, and, how's it going to go? What are they going to do? What do we need to know, right? And we still have the sun sextiling Mars. So it seems like Sunday is pretty much the same as Saturday as far as the opportunities to work with things, except for there's more emphasis on the family and food and nurturing. So with that, I think I'm just going to close this up and get it uploaded. And as always, take really good care and big hugs. Bye.